Okay, welcome to Fearless, Inspired, and Free. Today, I have my one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. The whole wide world. We've been, I don't know, we've known each we've known each other a long time. We had our first kids together. They are 4 months apart.
Yes.
So they're two girls, 4 months apart, and then just basically have just our whole life. We grew up, we started kids, we grew up into, as you call it in your bio, grown ass women, right? A lot of evolution going on. So I'm really glad to have you. And you're not on here because we grew up together. You're on here because you are a phenomenal woman. And when I was thinking of doing podcasts, I was trying to think of all the wonderful women who we have at our fingertips. You know, so many times all the celebrities are revered, or, even, politicians, or all these public figures that may not be attainable to just the regular, average, everyday young person. And so my whole goal was to just have some really easygoing conversations with some phenomenal women. I'm starting off with women because, that's my jam. Some
Mhm.
great guys out there, but it's some women out here doing some great things. And I feel like you also have, these women have great life lessons and stories that we can all learn from. And so I wanted to have easy conversations, learn a little bit about your life, because even though I've known you for a long time, I don't know a whole lot. We've been busy, we've been doing life, and
It's
and
been
so there's a lot of catching up to do. So everybody, please welcome Miss Vanetta Roy. She is a mother, a grandmother, employee, and a boss. All caps, all caps. And finally, her thing is she's a grown ass woman. She started off as a young mother, and she's finally, feels like she's in her skin. And so I was very intrigued about that. One thing you talked about is that you're a genuine lover of life and humanity. Tell me
yes.
about that.
So, hi everybody. I'm so excited to be here. So I got the little lump in my throat. Now you know I'm a crybaby. So I said she gonna start off making me cry. I'm gonna seem like a whole punk. Okay. All right. So
You are a
um
crybaby. You will cry, but
yes,
don't cry.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm a boss up. Okay, that's what I'm gonna
Okay.
do.
All right.
So is it still too close or I'm good?
No, you're good. You're good. You
Okay.
look great.
So when I say that I am a genuine lover of people, of humanity, that's just a genuine concern for everything and everybody. For me, intentions mean everything. And I know that, you hear people say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but actions behind those intentions. And for me, like, I really care about everything on this planet that has been created for us as human beings. And so to care about humanity, that means to feel empathy, to feel compassion. And it doesn't have to be for people, right? It could be for animals, it could be for insects, it could be for circumstances. Compassion and empathy comes in so many different forms. And so being able to be a person who feels deeply for people I know, people I don't know, and just for circumstances, that's who I am.
And it's so true. What you're saying is true. Sometimes you talk to people and they say, oh, exactly some of the things you said, and you don't see it in their life. And for me, and I would say so many people would agree whose lives you touch, you really do emit light and love. You really, really do. And joy. I watch your Instagram lives when you're in your car singing. And I mean, you don't care who is it, what anybody has to say. You just are enjoying it. You're enjoying life. And I've listened to you come on live, and some of the conversations, they were real life conversations. You use your voice. Your throat chakra has never been blocked ever in your life. I don't believe you have always spoke your truth. And so when you say that, I feel that. And I encourage anybody, if you can get to know her, she'll talk about some of the things she does. She'll talk about some of her business and things like that. And if you can connect with her at the end, I'm gonna ask her to, where can people connect? Where can people find you? And please, connect with her if you can. So, um, along the lines of you being a lover of life and humanity, you always, well, you indicate that you are also free spirited, and you are rooting for people who don't challenge the norms. So when you say you're rooting for people who don't challenge the norms, tell me what that means.
Um, the people who, the people when we have enough, when we're fearless enough to challenge what society tells us who we should be, that's when we become our own person. Oftentimes, I read something, and I think it was something you actually posted. I got chills just thinking about it, honestly. And it said that part of becoming an adult is unbecoming who you were molded to be. So we have to understand we are only circumstances. We are only people from our experiences, from our circumstances, from what we've been through. That's who molded us into who we are. And so for those who can step out and challenge that and rebuild and reinvent who they are, I'm rooting for those underdogs who just don't feel the courage to do it. I'm rooting for the ones who are sitting behind the job that they hate, but they continue to do it because they feel like that's what they need to do. That's what they should do. How many of us became or grew into or had the career that someone else chose for us, or someone else told us that's a good job? Girl, they got good benefits.
Right, right. We're
People
gonna
have
talk
a good pension.
let's get
You
into it,
know,
because yes, get into it, because you said it. You said that we were born into, or we grew up and we had circumstances around, we had people around us. And so let's dig. Let's talk about our parents, because I just was on a call today with an old friend, and I didn't post this yet, and I made a little snippet afterwards because it really got me to thinking about our parents always saying, get your job with benefits, or don't, I wanted to be, I told her, I wanted to be like, I wanted to make women beautiful. I wanted to be an esthetician and a makeup artist. My father's like, okay, ain't nobody paying for that. Well, that's not for making you money. And do you see this industry today?
it ain't
You,
nothing but that's all it is.
but that's what I'm saying. And so, yes, let's help these young people break these molds. And you know what? For a long time, you feel like, why did parents do that to me? But you know what? It was out of love. It was the only way they knew how to protect you and how to love you.
It was safe.
Absolutely, it was safe
Safe.
because that's what they did. And so now it's up to us to break those kind of generational kind of thought processes and
That's
chains, and
what
let
it-
our kids be who they're going to be.
So here's the thing, like I'm a historian. So my undergrad is in history. I love history. And as Black people, we are a product of our history. And so we come not too far. No, this wasn't a long time ago where we couldn't work at the post office. We couldn't be teachers.
Mhm.
We couldn't work in the criminal justice system. We couldn't be police officers. And so we couldn't be educated.
Mhm.
So we're only talking maybe 100 years ago. That's not a very long time in history.
Right.
And so when we got to the point where we were allowed to do those things, it was seen as a level of stature. Man, they work at the post office. Now that's a good job.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, girl, you a teacher? She a teacher? Oh, baby,
Mhm.
that's a good job.
Yeah.
A police officer? Sweetheart, that's a good job. Because what we didn't see a lot of were the Cicely Tysons, the Sidney Poitiers. We didn't see a lot of those,
Right.
you know. And so we had to do, or we had to push, our parents pushed us to be better than them, but better than them wasn't like a huge gap. And so with that being said, the thought of us to venture out like Beverly Johnson or Cicely Tyson or Stevie Wonder, it was kind of unheard of. You're sending the sheep out to the wolves. And so as a parent, I understand that my parents thought they were doing what's best by telling me to get a good job, by telling me to
Safe
have
job.
security, a safe job, so that you could buy a house one day, so that you could buy a car, so that you could take care of your families. I understand where they came from with that. Mm-hmm. But I also know a lot of that has to do with their ignorance because they didn't know what the possibilities were.
No, that's absolutely on point. And there was a little fear there. And the podcast Fearless, Inspired, and Free, we have to be fearless. We have to at some point jump outside of the mold. And this past year has taught us a lot with COVID and the civil unrest and people wanting their voices to be heard. And now is the best time to kind of explore that. And I think that's why I'm jumping out here on this. I know that's why you're exploring some projects that and you've done, and we're going to get into that too. You've been doing that for a while, and you really started to not let people put you in a box some years ago. I mean, if you tell me you're a teacher, I'd be like, nuh-uh, no, you're not, because
they'd be like, you became a teacher?
Right. Because it's like, no, but I think it's just the kind of, teacher we need, because every student needs to see themselves in someone, you know what I mean? So I think that, you're right on point, that we really have to start, challenging those. So I really, when I read that, I was like, wow, you are championing and rooting for people who don't challenge the norms. And there's so many opportunities to challenge the norms, especially today. So
I wanted to be an actress. That's what I wanted to be.
There you go.
And I remember my mother telling me, girl, you know how many people want to be actresses? You could never do it. So I don't think my mother said that, to hurt me or to break me. I think she said it because it continues to be a very competitive field. But then, as I grew older, as I became my own woman within the last, literally, I've just become this woman within the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. I learned that those women in Hollywood are no different than me. The only difference is they were fearless. They looked beyond the box that they were in, and they didn't allow, people to tell them what they couldn't do. And I read something from an actor. I can't remember who it was. And I was just reading about what was it for them that made them go to Hollywood or New York or whatever they did. And he said, I just needed one person to believe in me. And I think that's what we each need. But it has to be that right person, right?
Right. It can't be anybody, just anybody.
Opinion. And so my mother's opinion has always been hugely impacted to me. And so when she told me that, I felt that was the truth. Right. I couldn't make it. I wouldn't make it. So I bet not dare go try, and I never tried. So that I'm kind of mad at her about that.
I think we do. We harbor a little bit of resentment there. Do you think that there's a chance you might try? With the opportunities being a little different now, all these internet sensations, and then, are becoming opportunities for people. And I have seen you in front of the camera on commercials, on the news and things like that, when you talk about your business. And so it's like, I know you can get in front of a camera. I know you can do it. I know that right now at this point in your life, because I feel the same. I think you get of a certain age and you start to say, who cares what people think? If you're in the room and somebody doesn't care for you, I'm just not your flavor, but there are 6 or 7 other people that I am their flavor, and that is my community. So I think we start saying, okay, I'm not going to care as much about anybody else. So do you think you'll ever jump out there and try it?
I don't think it'll be in the extent of movies, but I am preparing myself to be some sort of public something. I don't know exactly what it's going to be.
Okay.
but I really feel that I'm preparing myself that in preparing myself, I'm really just praying for courage to make it happen. Yep.
Just dig deep. And this is, on this platform we're talking ourselves through that. And so I basically take the leap. When I was preparing for this, and clearly it will not be perfect when I launch,
Right.
because I'm just launching. For you can over prepare, you can prepare for years. I was like, I don't have a logo, I don't have this, I don't have that. Guess what?
Oh,
I know how to have a conversation. So
that's it.
guess what? I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to get some women on here that have a great story, and I'm going to go. So that's what I would say for you. Just do it. Just jump out there and do it, and really think about, I know you have made so many visions come to life. Um, and you have excelled at pretty much anything you've touched. So
Mm.
I would say just do it.
It's
Just
so
do
funny
it.
what other people see because I don't see that. So it's nice to hear. I like to hear it. I feel encouraged. But we're our own worst enemies, right?
We are. And we're our own best critic.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
Do we sound right? Do we look the part? And I think that we just have to get comfortable with who we are and what we have to offer. And everyone has a skill. Everyone has something to offer. And there's an audience out there for
For everything
everyone.
and everybody.
Right.
Serious.
Especially if you're not trying to be someone else.
Somebody
Like,
else.
you have to get out here and just do you. And there's an audience there for that. And there's a community there waiting to support you. So yeah, don't make me do a list of what you have excelled
Yeah.
at, and knowing your story, and you can get into how, whatever things, but knowing that both of us both started off as these young single moms, and we worked and worked and worked, and I think our kids turned out pretty good. I mean, I'm sure there's
Got
some
great kids. We got
generational things
great
I did.
kids.
Right, I think there's some generational things I probably threw their way. However, I think that we did good, and we jumped some hurdles, and
Oh,
then look what you became. Even, I think when you're talking about with society, fearless enough to challenge what society tells us, to be, just to challenge that whole notion that you are this. Think about how we were young mothers, and what society had already accepted
told us
that
that
we
as
were going to
single
be.
mothers, what was
Right.
gonna happen.
Right. So you overcame quite a bit just of the expectations that society as a young single mother
Yes.
had placed on you. So you are educated. Tell us, how'd you educate yourself?
So, I had Alyssa when I was 18. I got pregnant my freshman year of college. I had her over the summer. I never took a semester off. Um, I didn't go back to NIU, but I went to UIC for a semester. Then I went to Triton, and then I went back to NIU when Alyssa was a little older. She came with me, so I didn't leave my baby with my mama, the auntie, or the cousin, and all of that. Took her back to NIU with me. She went to Montessori school. I went to school. I graduated from undergrad when I was 22, and I graduated with my master's when I was 25.
And you haven't stopped. You got into teaching.
I became an educator,
Absolutely.
and I became a teacher because my mom said, because actually my undergrad is in history, and I started substitute teaching. And so my mom was like, it's a great profession for a young mother, and I knew I never wanted to work on holidays. I knew I needed my weekends off, and I wanted to be at home with my kid. Like I wanted to be there with her to do homework and things like that. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna be a teacher. So I went to National Louis, registered for school. I had to take some exam, took that, got accepted to the master's program. I finished that in 2 years, and I graduated with my master's. I think I was like 25. Yeah, 25 and maybe 24. One of them. Anyway, I graduated and I've been teaching ever since. And then I became a special education teacher 3 years into education. I
and
became
that
a
and
teacher.
that's challenging. So
Yeah.
there's teaching, and then there's the kids that need some extra attention, some extra love, and I remember your students, and I remember just seeing again all the love you shower on them, and they love you. All throughout the years I have just watched you, um, really nurture some kids that really needed some extra help, and I'm sure they've turned out better, because and you're just
I
the
would
kind of
hope.
teacher that we
Mhm.
need.
They don't always, you have to understand too. I'm a small pond. I'm a small fish in a big pond, and that as it applies to every student because you're this much of them, but then they have environment, they have family, and those are the big, big impacts. And so sometimes the impact you make. Now, who's to say that they're not someplace 26 thinking about, man, Miss Roy? And I would literally bet my life on it that any kid that ever passed through me will remember me for the rest of their lives. I'm I know that as an educator, that's always been my goal. So you may not, be the person I want you to be, but I guarantee you throughout your life, you are going to think about Miss Roy. You're going to think about her hugs. You're going to think about her saying, I love you. You're going to think how she was fine. You're going to think how she was funny. You are going to think about Miss Roy. I guarantee you, boy, girl, parents are going to think about Miss Roy. So I always knew that as an educator, you would leave my classroom a better person. Now, the world may not always see that, but it would be in you because, still, I don't know, your situation. Some of these kids not eating. Some of these
Mm.
kids, the first time they ever heard someone say, I love you was from me.
Mm.
Some of them don't even tell their mamas, I love you, but they leave out of 408, room 300, 206, all the rooms out of men, and they
Mm.
leave out and they say, I love you.
And
It
they
is
know
meant
they're loved by
and they
someone.
know it. They know it's for real. So in my school, it's if Miss, they'll bring a kid to me. I've had students that are not even my students that are not even special ed students, and they have put them in my classroom because they say they need some Miss Roy.
Some love.
They are the ones who have been shunned, who have been bad and disrespectful, you
Mhm.
know,
All those labels that they put
all
on.
of those labels they've been, I'm a big thing. Love is not earned; it's given. It's just what it is.
You
I'm
love
not.
regardless.
You love regardless, and I tell them, I don't like you today. I don't like what you said, but I love you. I will always love you. I'm never gonna stop loving you. I don't like what you did, so I'm not hugging you because you did good. I'm hugging you because that's I love you, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Mm.
They don't know about doing wrong and having a conversation. They know about doing wrong, being reprimanded, being hit, being punished, not being wrong, being talked to, being hugged, and then being punished.
But
Now,
in a respectful way, in a way that they can receive it. You know what I mean? Because when
they don't know.
someone loves you, you receive the good, the
Oh
bad, and the ugly.
my God.
You receive it. You receive it in a different way. So I feel
Anything.
like the love, the unconditional love you gave and give your students currently, is a gift that they will carry with them. And regardless, like you said, of the person they turn out to be, they will always understand what
Yeah.
unconditional love is, and they will have experienced it. And the sad thing is what you said is some of them don't even get a Miss Roy. They can go through a whole school system and they can go their whole life. And, no shade or no, this is no judgment on anything, but some have not experienced the genuine love. And I think that's why we have some of the systemic issues we have in society today, particularly with our kids and things like that. And so I want to tell you thank you because I've always admired how you have handled your
Thank you.
students and how you have loved them. And it's a gift. I've had teachers that, I couldn't wait to get away from. And I have teachers that I will always love. And the thread was love. They showed a genuine interest and I know they cared. So, nobody can take that away from you. So that I really appreciate. And speaking of love, and since we got into that, I have in my notes that you said you believe in love. And I said to myself, love is a common word all throughout your Bible. Just love, 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 love. And why is it so important? We heard why it's important in the school setting for the kids who are cast aside or labeled. And I hate when they label them because they carry that their whole life.
Yeah.
And it just becomes who they think they are, and that's just not. There's so much more.
Sure.
But why is love so important in general, and
Um,
why do we need more of it?
Love brings happiness, right? Being in love. There's a lot of responsibility that comes along with love. And genuine love comes from, or it can, genuine love can restore, it can build. And although everyone in your life that you love will hurt you, everyone, your mama, your children,
Mhm.
siblings, your spouses, your students, you know, your friends, you have to determine who's worth that love. And for me, everybody is worth the opportunity of love, or everybody is worth being given love. Everybody may not be worth being given you. You know, some people just got love from a distance, right?
That's it. We got to love
I
them from
think
afar.
love is what restores, love gives joy, you know, and it makes us whole. Most people that are broken is because they lack love in some capacity. And it can come from anywhere. It can come from Blanco, my dog, you know.
Mhm.
Um, when you see people that have like a bunch of pets and people just don't understand it, that's their love.
That's their love.
And that
Yeah.
love brings comfort, it brings joy, it brings healing, you know. And even when we've lost people that we love, the fact that we have more love left here, that's what restores us. That's what helps us to continue to move forward.
Carry you,
You know,
carry you through. Yep.
carries you through. So I feel so bad for those who don't have love or don't feel it, and that's why oftentimes that suicide rate is so high, because they don't feel enough love. Because love, I feel like it allows you to believe that you can get through this or that,
Hmm.
you know. And
So your theory is there is a lack of inside. There's something missing, and love might be a component
love is
of
a
that.
huge component. Now, you know, when you think about relationships and you say, Tina Turner said, love ain't nothing but a secondhand emotion. What's love got to do with it?
Mhm.
I understand that too, you know, because just because you love someone don't mean you have to stay in anything, you
Mhm.
know, because if they're hurting you, then you have to, you know, sometimes you have to shuffle things.
And okay, so let's talk about that. So for the listeners and anyone out there that might be struggling, okay, we're talking about how love brings joy, love it restores, but love should not hurt. And so this might be a great opportunity to tell somebody who's struggling, should I stay, should I go, should I, if
You have to love yourself first. That's the first thing. Love has to start with you. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for your happiness. So
nobody else.
nobody else. I, you know, when you have children, right, and they're younger, yeah, of course, their happiness depends upon me. You know, if they eat, if they sleep, if they're loved, if they do homework, if they do activities, all of that, you know. And love is going to hurt. It's only natural. You can't feel so deeply for something or someone and think you're always, you know, it's always going to be that way, right? You know, and you don't have to be with everyone that you love, but you have to love yourself first. And I think that lack of self love is what is ruining the world. And unfortunately, with social media, I think people are becoming more unaccepted. What's the word I'm looking for? People are, because you're looking at so many other people's lives or the life they want to show you, we have more people who don't
Comparing
have
themselves.
self love now than we've ever had before.
Right, because that comparison, they are
Comparison.
people
Yes.
saying, why can't I have that? Why can't I
And
be
why don't I
that?
have it?
Instead of saying, I am enough.
Nobody thinks they're enough. I was just having this conversation. We are in a world of extremists. Oh, and it's just because of that competitiveness.
It is we're comparing ourselves. And I am a person who, again, one thing about me is I always find the beauty in everything. And I used to tease me sometimes because I'd be like, oh, this is, and that everybody's beautiful to me. Everybody, I always find something. And so I hear you when I say everybody's trying to one up or, like just be the most extreme and get the most likes. And I'm fine with my little 5 likes. Okay. Because at least it's the folks that I know that are accepting me for who I am. But I think that again, like you said, the lack of love, but I think some of them are very confident and that's what they like. And so I kind of support that too. I'm like, okay, you are real brave too. Like that's a whole nother kind of bravery for me because I will look at it like the long hair or the lashes or the makeup and I'll say, man, I wish I was brave enough to even try that for a day or, wear that color or wear that. So I look at them as, brave in their own kind of category and beautiful that way. But I also see that what happens is the young people look at that too. And there's just like this unrealistic belief that I have to look like that to get those kind of likes because they are getting lots of likes. And
Yeah.
I never seen so many bodied up women in my life than on the social media. And then that'll have you feeling so inadequate
Inadequate. And now
about your weight, and so
now what is everybody doing? Spending tons and tons of money, risking their lives and surgeries, trying to be like that one, be like that one. I love just being in my little box with my few little people. I'm guilty of it too.
we all are. We've all fell for the pressure. I mean, I was just telling my sister the other day, I was all freaked out because I said, I can tell now I'm getting older. And then she said, well, I said, I looked in the mirror. I said, my neck has wrinkles, had some wrinkles. I said, I freaked out. And then, I'm looking and, I had never been the video vixen body girl of my life ever. Okay. But as you get older, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm losing even more of it. And you start like, and then you start saying, maybe I should go do this. And I was thinking, maybe I should take a needle to the neck. Maybe I should do that. But then I said,
Botox up in here so it'll look more full or maybe.
Yes. And I'm like, so we all do it. We've all done it. I'd be a liar if I say I can get off and do it tomorrow, but I think that every day we have to work towards accepting, okay, this is what it is. I haven't lost out on any love in my life, so I must be okay. You know what I mean?
And a lot of them you look at, they ain't gained no more love in their life.
Right. And, they ain't chasing me any left. Well, when I was younger, I'm not anymore. But they wasn't chasing me any less. You know what I mean? And still now, you still got to bat off a couple old men like, oh, I'm married. Go away. Yeah. And a few young ones. And so, just that self-love and acceptance of it's okay who you are, with who you are. And if you want to spend a little change and do something more, fine. But you don't have to feel like you have to live up to that standards because it's not realistic and it's very stressful. And I think it's causing a lot of mental health issues with our youth. Because they feel like they're not living up to that perfect image that they see. And I think it's up to us everyday regular folks to kind of let them know it's okay. And I think the more that we're okay with ourselves and we mirror that, then they'll see, hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Unfortunately, so many are not paying attention because they're gravitating to who has all the followers, who has, that's the biggest thing, just who got all the followers. That's who they gravitate to. And so it leaves I'm very worried about our future. I really am. And I know, and I keep telling myself, well, history repeats itself, right? So hopefully simpler time will come back and, we'll only be faced with the people that are really within our boundaries, within our reach, instead of, I'm comparing myself to a woman, however far away that I may never see in my life.
Absolutely.
But, I'm comparing myself to her. It has me questioning that as people, do we have any sense of security? Why do we have to change everything? Why do we all have to have the same look? We're different for a reason. We're supposed to be different, but now everybody the same. Like,
Right.
is this you? Or it's like, it's almost like the Stepford Wives.
Yeah. And when you sit with yourself, are you okay with, being that, just
That's what
everybody? Or do you want to stick out? I used to say, um, you can't stand out if you blend in. For years ago, I used to I was in my master's program, and that was my motto. You can't stand out if you blend in, and I always wanted to just not be the same, and just wanted to come into my own. And so I'd love to encourage that, but I think this is something we can work on. I mean, you and I were talking about, we really want to make a positive impact, and I think we're getting there, starting here with me, and you have some things in the work. And before we end today, because you and I can talk forever, um I want to pick up so everybody kind of knows your path. And so if there's anybody who's like, I was a single mom, I guess I can finish school, and I okay, so I finished school and I can be a teacher. And so not just an educator, but you then at the same time that you are an educator, and by the way, you have another child, and then you were nurturing that
Yeah,
uh
actually,
relation.
when I graduated from college, I was pregnant with Cameron.
Mhm.
Yeah, at my graduation, I was pregnant with my son,
So full circle, you came in with one, you're gonna leave out
and
with
I left
one.
her with another one. Lord, why?
And we love them so. I think both of you got, well, no, your gap is a little shorter. I waited 10 years.
My 5.5.
Okay, so I waited a long time. And so so then now you have your two, and now you're graduated with these wonderful degrees, and
Very,
you're getting a job, and in your spirit there's something else, and I know that you always wanted to do other things, and you've always been on to the next, like your energy. I think they should try to bottle it and
even
sell
with
it.
me.
I'm not real sure, but if they could bottle, even my
Oh,
mother used to be
yes.
like, where does she get the energy, where does she
People
get it?
always ask me that.
Oh my goodness, are you ever tired? And so what was next? So you've done this for
Oh,
many
business
years.
teaching. And actually, I never wanted to be a business owner, but I opened up a restaurant. So my brother opened up, and my guy was just like, man, like thought he had a really good product, and like he could really take it somewhere. But my brother, um, he's more of a background type person, you know.
Hmm.
So my brother and my guy then encouraged me, like, you could do this, Nick. People love you. I'm like, oh, I ain't no business person. Every 2 weeks I get paid. I know how much I get. I'm good. And so they just kept talking and talking. And I just kept having conversations with God. I just kept asking, what am I going to do? And I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. I was just, my mind was all over the place. Long story short, open up Surfs Up. First 3 years was horrible. Surfs Up South Shore. First 3 years was absolutely horrible. I really wasn't investing in myself. The third year, I actually quit CPS. My business was failing. It was failing. It was failing. I was going broke. I was struggling. I was so mad at them for pushing me to do this. And I'm like, well, where y'all at now? I'm dying. And I told myself, and I told my boyfriend, I said, look here, either we're going to do this or we're not going to do it. So this is the last draw. I'm going to quit. I quit CPS to pull down my pension.
Mm.
Quit CPS, pull down my pension. I had to be unemployed for 6 months, no income coming in. It took me 3 months to get my pension. So for 3 months, I ain't had nothing. My guy, you know, jumped in, helped where he could, and all of that stuff. Finally got my pension. Put the money I needed to in my business, put the money I had to pay some of Melissa's tuition, and I had to pay some back bills. And God lines people up into your life.
Mm.
I had a conversation with my landlord about what I was doing. So I had not paid rent for like 3 or 4 months. And he
Wow.
allowed that to fly, because of our relationship. But pulled out that money. So we got rid of some people, because there was some theft happening.
Mm.
I told my guy, look here, you're going to work that register and I'm going to work this kitchen. I talked to my sister-in-law who told me you need to be on social media more, but I hate social media. I know it don't seem like it, but I swear
I wouldn't have guessed that, but
you would
okay.
never get. But I hate social media. I hate it. But she said, "I'm telling you, it works." So I brought We Live, baby, into my kitchen, and I'm gonna tell you where I got that from, which is so funny. One of my students,
Oh.
he said, Jamonte Thomas, I love him. I love him.
I can
I
see it
told
in
him,
your face.
yes. I told him, you are going to be the next Dave Chappelle. He was sitting in class one day and he picked up a crayon box and he was sitting there looking and he was like, "We live, baby." I'm like, what? It was just an outburst. What are you doing? He was like, I'm on live. I'm on live.
Oh my goodness.
I fell out and I went to work. I went to work at Surf's Up because I would teach. And then I had to fire so many people to the point I wasn't opening up Surf's Up until I got off work.
I remember you used to work you used to work later. That's right. Yes.
I
Yep.
got off. I drove from Naperville to Humble Park to South Shore back to Naperville every day. I had 289,000 miles on my Camry.
See, and people don't realize the struggle and the sacrifice. So all of the things you're listing, you didn't have an income for 6 months. You are relying on the community you have built. You failed at first. You left and
Yeah.
came back. You're running yourself ragged. And so you did the sacrifice, you had the struggle, and then came what? What started happening?
Live, baby. I'm in there working. I'm leaving school, going to Surf's Up, setting up that look, my phone, we live, baby, and talking to people. I'm bringing my students to the restaurant with me. They're engaging with people. Mike working the register. Now we're making money. People are coming in. People are excited. People want to know about Surf's Up. People are inboxing me. And I just kept it going. So now I'm back teaching because I went back to teaching within 6 months. I need my income now. Went back to teaching, got employed some people, and it just started growing and growing and growing. And literally, it's only 3.5 years later. 3.5 years later, people are hitting me about opening up franchises. I'm throwing them to my brother, throwing them to my brother. You know,
You have more than one location.
so there are a total of 12 locations. It's
And,
a total of 12
you,
locations.
so there's 12 locations in Illinois.
Yes.
And then,
more
so I'm hearing that they're
it's
extending
Alabama.
nationwide. So you all are
We're
going nationwide.
nationwide. I franchised that one.
Awesome.
So we're officially nationwide. I personally own two, Surf's Up South Shore and Surf's Up Old Town. 71st in Crandon, which is like 71st and South Shore Drive in the South Shore area of Chicago. And then Division in Wales, they're kind of like not about 5 minutes from the Rock and Roll McDonald's in downtown Chicago. Those are the two that I own. All the rest have been franchised out.
And you're wildly successful. And I've seen some of your guests that come in, and some of them are internet sensations. Some of them are old school basketball stars, like when we were growing up, the Fab Five and all of those folks. And so you built a brand, basically. You know, you were helping to build a brand, and now your family business is thriving and doing well. But it was not without sacrifice. So for all the listeners and all the young people, is success overnight?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
And you have to work for it.
It's not over a year. It is time and it is work and it is so many conversations with the man upstairs.
Absolutely. Staying grounded, staying consistent, and putting the work in. You know, when you see something if you tune into Vanetta, but if you see anything on the internet, but people are wildly successful in these, you know, they're in these cars, they're in this and that. 9 times out of 10, they put a lot of work into that.
You might have seen the work, but it was there.
It was always there. So it's like it's hidden. So, you know, and that's what's important. So you're building this brand, you're doing things, and I know that your mind's still working, and I know that there's more to come for you. But before we close, so you're a mom, one of your biggest joys in life, and I'm gonna let you take us out of here with what your biggest joy might be right now has got to be Granny, because you're about to put the hashtag Granny on the mark, because I don't know a lot of grannies that look like Vanetta Roy. So tell us about your biggest joy.
Oh my gosh. So, Dana, you already know. I don't even have the words to explain Jacob and Drea hashtag Granny. I never in the, I remember I told Alyssa to get an abortion. I remember with Jacob, I sat down, Alyssa and Big Jacob, and I said, don't do this. Graduated from college. You talking about you traveling. You just finished real estate school. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Y'all not ready. You got to take the fun out of your relationship. And their mind was made up. And I went to the doctor's appointment with Alyssa to get an ultrasound. And they couldn't see the baby. Now I feel like I'm about to cry. This is when she was pregnant with Jacob. And they couldn't see the baby. And I remember I whispered to her in her ear and I said, oh, that means you still have time to get an abortion. And she looked at me and she said, why did you even come? And I felt like shit. I felt horrible. I am the one person that is supposed to have her back no matter what. And then she ended up with preeclampsia.
So they find the baby, and this is, and she made her decision. She stood her ground, and she said, "This is gonna happen one way or another. This is happening." And again, so thinking about our conversation, you were projecting something onto her instead of letting her be the decision maker, right? Because we talked about what our parents did to us, right?
I was becoming that parent,
right? So go ahead. So she
couldn't find the baby. And then they thought it was a tubal pregnancy. And I was just like, now I'm scared to death because tubal pregnancies are extremely dangerous. It can rupture at any time. Now I'm scared to death. And I remember crying myself to sleep that night and talking to God and saying, if you fix this, I will never question what you've done again. If you fix this for me and not let my daughter go through anything horrible. And she was fine. She had a good pregnancy. And then she got preeclampsia. And we were back in the hospital to enter emergency. She had blown up like a damn gummy bear or something. It was crazy. And we're in that hospital, and I've never been so scared in my entire life. And when she went to have a C-section, it was an emergency. And Jake was in the room with her. I didn't go in there with her. And my grandson came out. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. God bless.
And he was in an incubator because he was early. And, they came and got me like, hey, they have to rush him to ICU. But we're going to let you see him. I need you to stand right here. And he came out and he was so little and he was in that thing. And they flew. And I can just see he was fighting to breathe. And they flew by. I went in that room and I have never cried so silent and so hard in my life. And I remember I kept on telling God, you told me you were going to be okay. You told me it was going to be okay. You told me it was going to be okay. And I kept on saying, where's Alyssa? Where's Alyssa? Where's Alyssa? And everything was fine. And he told me, he said, it's okay. It's okay. And I remember their dad, Jake, coming out and he being so happy because ignorance is bliss. He didn't know the magnitude of what was happening.
Right.
He didn't understand it, but I knew. And my grandson stayed in NICU for about a week. And I remember going in there, putting my little hands in there and touching him. And you could see him fighting to breathe and all those tubes in him. Never again will I question what he does. Never again in life. Then she was pregnant with Drea. And she cried and she said, I'm sorry. I know I disappointed you. And I said, not at all. Not at all. It's the greatest joy, greatest gift.
They are the greatest gift. And what is wonderful is, again, you were being a parent. You thought you were protecting her, but you love them more than anything. And you are a wonderful granny. And so it has all come full circle. She's happy. Alyssa made the decision. You stood by her, and the love is just
I
infinite.
can't even. You know, Dana, baby feed, little Fifi, it leaves you breathless.
It
It
does.
leaves you breathless. You never think that you can love anything like you love Lex. You know what I'm saying? Like you love Maya,
Maya.
but
It's a different kind of love. And I try to explain that to everybody. It's a different kind of, I told my girlfriend today, she said, well, what is it like? You know, because she didn't have a grandchild. I said, you remember when you were a kid and you believed in Santa Claus, or you believed in something, you was just so excited, like you couldn't even, it
I'm telling you,
feels like that magnified when you are going to see it. And we have similar stories. Our girls blew up and very just
Gary.
crazy. And,
I remember you
you don't
texting
know if
me.
you,
I'm like, she fine, she got this. Girl, when they go to have them babies, you be about to die yourself. Like,
I remember I was trying to be so brave. I picked her and Dre up, and then we went and had breakfast, and then she was gonna go they have her baby, and I was, trying to keep it together. And she got out the car, and I video, and I said, okay, because COVID,
this is going cold.
I can't go in. I have to see my baby in the parking lot, and they go in, and I would never let her see this. I would never let her, just being upbeat. I was so worried and scared. I sat in my car and I cried like a baby.
I know you
I felt like I had just turned my baby over to
did.
anybody.
And
Not
you
a medical professional. Not, I don't know. I said, this is, she's going in there, and I'm supposed to be there, So it is a rough ride when you're so worried, but I think it worked out great. And we get to raise our grandkids together the same way we raised
our girls together.
you see how life works full circle. So I just want to thank you for coming. I want and hope that all of the different things we talked today spoke to someone, gave someone um, the strength or energy to move forward. No situation
Persevere.
is hopeless, right? Like
No situation is bigger than you.
that's right. You can do it.
Yep, you can overcome. People have lived some horrific experiences, and life has dealt some terrible hands, but the power is within you. It is
Yeah.
so within you, and you have to speak it, and you have to think it, and you have to know it,
And
and
you
you
got
have
to
to
believe it.
allow the universe. Just like what goes up must come down, the law of attraction is real. If you put the energy out there, and a positive energy has way more flow and is way more powerful than a negative one.
That's
When you
right.
put that energy out there, the universe will bring it right back around to you. I know it. I've lived it. I am living. My life has changed drastically
Because of
I- because of it, because of that knowledge. So I just think, what if we knew this at 20, Dana?
well, you gave it to him today.
Period.
Because we would have been dangerous. So, period. What is it? The energy you put out there, you will get it back.
It will manifest. I promise you.
Vanetta, thank you for coming. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your positivity. And I'm
Thank
sure
you
I'll
for
have
having
you
me.
on again.
And thank you for making me cry. It never fails. I can't girl back. All right, Dana.